Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me. If somebody could helpfully type in the chat box, yes, that would be great. Otherwise, you're just going to see my mouth moving. Excellent. Thank you, Tim. So good morning. Obviously, I'm still stuck at home and unfortunately I'm unable to furlough both children and pets. So apologies if there are any noises coming through, but hopefully I've shoved them off on electronics and things somewhere else. So the first thing that the thing I want to talk today about are websites and social media. And I think it's really important because these two elements are essentially your free routes to market. Accepting that obviously you're having to pay for a website and possibly if it's on a SaaS model, then you're paying that. But essentially it's free marketing. So a lot of what recruitment businesses are doing now at the moment in terms of websites and social media is actually not helping them moving forward. So in terms of the website, what we want to make sure is that it doesn't look like you've shut up shop. And that's the biggest problem that a lot of recruitment businesses have. They're so focused on kind of dealing with the day-to-day management of the issues, etc., and in some cases even sort of furloughing their marketing functions, that they forget about the website and what that projects to the world. And that's going to start creating problems for you further down the line. Obviously, we're all expecting and hoping and indeed praying to come out the other end of this. And if you've not started engaging with people on your website, what you're going to find is you're stacking up problems for yourself further along the line. So, it's really important that you do that. But generally speaking, your activity on a website is going to change. So this typically is what your website strategy should be during normal times: creating awareness, consideration, sorting out some kind of acquisition, servicing somebody, and then ensuring there's loyalty. And that's generally the process that your website should be set up to be going through. Obviously, if it's not, then when times do come back to where we want them to be, pick up a conversation with me and I can point you in the right direction of people who can sort of help you with website management if you need a new website, or we can certainly help in terms of advising you on that. But this is what the website journey should look like. Now, the problem is, if you're not careful, you end up looking like a very poor car salesman if you get it right. We know that candidates are coming to our website looking for jobs, and you possibly haven't got jobs to sell them. So if you're trying to sell them jobs and just jobs, that's going to be a problem. Similarly, clients coming to your website, know that you've got loads of candidates, but they might not have any jobs to give you. But if you're constantly selling kind of your services, that's not going down well. And we're seeing that a lot with a lot of clients at the moment are really complaining about recruitment consultants still going, they're picking up the phone going, have you got any jobs type approach, but it's just moved online. So, what you should be doing is you should be looking at these three areas. You should be looking at engaging with people, tapping into their emotions, and sharing experience and knowledge. And that's really important, because what you're doing is you're moving away from a selling model to being a trusted advisor type model. I don't really like that phrase, trusted advisor, but I think everyone knows what it means. So that's kind of where you've got to start moving to with your website at the moment. Yes, of course, jobs going on, etc. But this is the approach you should take. And as I say, if you do that, you're going to start engaging people in your brand. And once they become engaged in your brand, when you are ready to then take them back to that previous journey, they're going to be able to go onto that with you and want to come with you. It's about instilling a bit of loyalty into your brand and showing that actually you're there to support them, rather than being just panic flapping about. Now, the reality is, we're all probably, flapping about, but we need to be like the duck on water rather than anything else. So in terms of website content ideas, we need to start looking at how what your website can be like. So obviously, historically, you were getting people to come onto your website, and the idea should be that you're pushing them to some kind of action. So that action be either contacting you, registering, adding a job, doing a job search, etc., that type of thing. Realistically, we don't want to do that. And in terms of candidates, I've seen this a lot actually. Somebody asked a question. The challenge with candidate pooling at the moment is candidates coming to your website often pretty desperate if they've not got a job, applying for jobs that you don't have. And that candidate experience and how you deal with those candidates, which is something we'll discuss in another webinar, is really important. So actually what you want to be doing is not pushing them down that route, but giving them another reason to come to your website, it being an information hub. So first thing you need to look at is kind of articles and blog posts. So they need to be knowledge share, informative blog posts. So, I mean, I would suggest not doing how to work from home, because I think every man and their dog have done how to work from home 3 times over. But, blog posts that add value. So people are still going to be doing their CVs. Traditional kind of how to write a CV is still, one of the top, across all our clients, is still one of the biggest pulling blogs. People want, from a candidate side, want that kind of advice, career type advice. From a client side, they also want advice. They're going to be thinking about their supply chains. They're going to be thinking about when things come back, how they're going to move forward, but also thinking how they're managing at the moment. So, articles and blog posts are really important. And I would also put into that things like infographics as well. So trying to demonstrate things in a slightly different way. Blog posts are great. People have got a lot of time to be sitting reading stuff at the moment, and articles, etc. But actually what they also want is some kind of infographic type thing. The other option, I'll come to value add later, is, videos. We talk about videos a lot, but actually now is a fantastic time to be doing video. And I say that because a lot of recruitment consultants are being forced to work from home and engaging with people via video. So that means that the technology is in place. Previously, not all recruitment businesses had the technology in place to be able to have people recording videos easily. And secondly, a lot of pushback would come from consultants saying, I don't want to be on video, don't like being on video, etc. Consultants are now getting over that because they're having to, because they're stuck on video. They're doing things like this. They're on Zoom video conference calls, etc. So many more people have Odro and Hinterview set up. So it's really important that happens. Recruiter Web, someone from Recruiter Web, it's talking about the next blog spam, and that's absolutely correct. That the work from home mindset mode is what everyone's writing about, and that's a good point. You should be trying to make a distinction in terms of what copy you write. But as I say, so videos are really important. You can start doing those, and I think people are forgiving of them not having that particularly professional edge. So, nobody's expecting a film crew to rock up and record somebody. Now, obviously, there are things you can do to make the videos look better by putting intros in, outros in, putting subtitles over them. Again, if you've got a marketing department that can do that for you, then that's the kind of thing where they can be adding real value by making them look a little bit more professional. If you haven't, then obviously there's opportunities to outsource that, but also just stick up videos. And video is great because people are having more and more chance to look at videos. And we're seeing video hits on all the websites where we look after. We're seeing videos increase massively. Another area that's really important, I'll come back to landing pages in a bit. Another area that's really important is things like salary surveys. So we see, in terms of even today, we see salary surveys as being one of the biggest pulling content drivers on any website. So if you have a salary survey, you need to get it up there. And if you don't, then now is an opportunity. If you've got a marketing department sat not doing a lot of stuff, then actually get them involved in creating a salary survey. It's really easy to do. And we've got a bit of a strategy that we use, which I can happy to share with people if they email me afterwards, about how you can actually sort of drive sales throughout that salary survey process as well. So it's not just a salary survey, you're actually using that process as well to drive the sales. But salary surveys are great. In an ideal world, you would have some kind of interactive salary survey on your website. And again, this is something that you might want to talk to one of your website providers about. But in the interim, downloading it in terms of on your website from a PDF point of view is absolutely fantastic for people. They want to come in. You have the choice as to whether you have it as gated content, and by gated content I mean you have to put your details in to download it, etc., or whether you just allow download. Typically what we see is when you have gated content, there's a drop off of about a third. So a third of people go on, they don't want to give their details, so they come back off it and don't download it. My personal take is I think that you should operate the freemium model. So that's where you just allow people to download it, because I would much rather my stuff be out there with people I might not know it's out there with, and then I can reach them through other means, through social, etc., rather than having a group of people who then know I'm going to start spamming them. But that it's horses for courses, and you might prefer to do it the other way. But salary surveys, I would absolutely say, especially now, are really important. And then games and quizzes and those kinds of fun things. It doesn't mean you have to invest a huge sum of money in terms of doing that, but actually, finding some fun reasons for people to be on your website, and that might be pushed through from social. We can talk about that later. There's two other areas I want to talk about: landing pages and value-added things that you can do on your website. So landing pages, first of all, a lot of traffic, and most traffic, is pushed through to the homepage. But actually what you want to do is you want to be pushing people through to pages that have very specific information around what they're searching for, because what we find then is that they stick at that page and then they're more likely to go off and do some kind of actions. Most recruiters don't have landing pages set up, so now is a fantastic time for you to start spending some time, if your marketing department have some time spare, actually creating some landing pages. So what I mean, for example, is if you are in the legal sector, and you've got a website, people might be coming into your homepage. But actually, if you had a page that's for legal secretaries, that's got loads of information, that's content rich about legal secretaries, that has maybe a video talking about kind of paths, different careers you can go from after being a legal secretary to somewhere else, etc., that's really much more engaging to somebody who comes in. And then what you can do further down the line is you can be sending people to those landing pages. And what you'll find is that once they're on those landing pages, they're going to engage much more with your brand. So that's really important. So somebody's said, I work in the events recruitment industry, and my directors are worried that trying to share content with them so insights may come across as insensitive with what's going on with the events industry at the moment. What do you think? Ultimately, people want... We're not seeing that. People want to know. I think, look, if you're ramming it down people's throats, then absolutely, you don't want to be ramming it down people's throats. But people want to know what's being paid. A lot of people are, out there at the moment thinking about new jobs, and the first thing they want to do is, how much can I get paid? What's the going rate? Was I being paid enough? And I think having that information there is really important and engaging. So whilst I can understand what your director's saying, I think it can be done in a sensitive way, and provided that you do it in that sensitive way, then it can start adding real value. You're not saying everybody's going to get paid that tomorrow, because we all realize there's a difficulty. But when you come out of it, what should you be looking at being paid, and going with that kind of message. That's what I would do. So that's the landing pages. And again, as I say, you need to be pushing people through to those landing pages. And then value add things. So other things that you can do through your website that don't cost you much or anything, that can add real value. So beyond content. So for example, can you create client landing pages that talks about that client? If you can use the client logo, for example, can you create a client landing page that then you can give to your clients a free value add? that's the kind of thing you go to the client and say, look, I appreciate that, things are difficult, but when you come back, here's your free client landing page. Those types of things. We've got a range of different things we can suggest, which I can send to people if they're interested at the end, in terms of what they can ask, potential things they can do. That's one idea. But just think about where you can add a bit of value and use your website. Ultimately what you want to be doing is pushing people there. And then finally, you need to thinking about SEO. So what a lot of people do is, because they panic and they stop doing work on the website, what you find is that then when the Google starts crawling your websites, you're falling down the rankings. When the good times come back, everyone else is going to start investing in SEO. You're going to struggle to rise back up. So now's a real opportunity, actually, when some of your competitors are falling away, is to really start thinking about SEO. So there's the technical side of SEO, and that's obviously has an expense, and there's things that you might not be able to invest in at the moment, things you might be able to. Again, we can help you if you need to, but actually, by doing blog posts, by keeping the content relevant, by creating more posts and pages, you're actually keeping your website active, and Google will like that. So actually, by doing some of these content ideas, you're actually helping your search engine optimization. In terms of some of the types of stuff what you then need to be looking at in terms of your website is by doing a candidate and a client user experience audit. So this list here, and again, this is available afterwards, so I can email it around if people want it. You need to come into your website as a candidate would, with that candidate mindset, and really appraise the website from a candidate point of view. Is it efficient? Can I get what I need to get from it? So here are the headers and titles. Is it effective? Is it efficient? Is it easy to learn the website? Is it memorable? What happens if they get an error? And is there general user satisfaction? So look at that with a real critical eye if you're a candidate and a client coming in. Because I think often what happens with websites is that they become organic things. And very quickly what you find is that whilst you know where everything is because you go on your website every day, somebody else coming in looks at it and thinks it's like a bowl of spaghetti. So that's a really important thing for you to start doing. So that's something else that you can do now. You can get consultants doing, and you can get your marketing department doing, and then obviously start making those changes as and when. And I think you'll be quite surprised as to what you find in terms of that user experience. Another thing, we touched on this last week, so I don't want to spend too much time, but make sure your you've got your website hooked up to Google for Jobs properly. I cannot stress how important this is, because we spoke about job boards last week. This is going to be a source of candidates and traffic to your website. And if you are not doing it properly, not only are you missing out, but the algorithms on Google will start punishing your website. So we're not going to dwell on it too much because that was last week, but please, 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 please make sure that you've set up Google for Jobs properly. Again, something we touched on, which is still applicable, job writing. Make sure that you write your jobs properly. Boring job adverts, even on your own website, turn people off. People don't care about your client who's a market leader, blah, blah, blah. What we say again is get noticed, get creative, and get found. As I say, we touched on this last week, but it's really important because it does transcend over into this week. But if you're interested to look at last week's webinar, if you couldn't make it, then I can send you those links as well. So in terms of social media, there is a lot of noise going on social media. So this wheel on the left-hand side shows you what goes on within 1 minute on the internet last year. 4.5 million YouTube videos were viewed in 1 minute. There were 87,500 people tweeting at that particular time. Even things like Twitch, which people don't really know about, had 1 million views. So, there's a lot going on. And what we're seeing with people being furloughed and working from home, etc., is at the moment there's about a 30% increase in all of these numbers. So there is a lot of noise going on social media at the moment. Huge amounts. You only have to look at LinkedIn and you can see in your own timeline that kind of stuff. Now, the reality is that most of the stuff that's going on at the moment from a recruitment perspective can be summed up with one emoji, and that's this one. There is a lot of rubbish going on that is just noise and is becoming white noise, and it cannot be driving any value for people. So the first thing we're saying is, what is the point of the content? What are you trying to achieve with your content? And this is a question that you need to ask and then task people with and tell them this is what we're doing. So is the point that it's about brand awareness? Is the point that you're trying to drive people back to your website so that they can start engaging with your brand, which is what I think you should be getting people to do? Is it that you've got loads of jobs and you want people to apply? Actually understand what are you trying to achieve from social media, because otherwise you're just doing social media for social media's sake, and it's random acts of social media, which is just filling people's time up but actually adding no value to your business. So that's really important to ask that question. And then the next important question is to really think about who your target is. So on social media, who are you targeting? Are you going to be focusing on, and there might be several audiences, but who are those audiences? Is it candidates? Is it clients? If it's clients, is it line managers? Is it HR? If it's candidates, what level candidate? Really think about that, who you're targeting, because then you can start targeting your message. Because what happens is you're seeing a lot of recruitment consultants putting a load of content out without any thought, and it's just stuff that's amusing themselves, which is great because their colleague who they did sit on the desk next to last week, who's now 20 miles away in their bedroom, is clicking like. That's great, but it's actually adding no value to your business whatsoever. So again, you really need to be thinking about who your target audience is, what kind of content they want to see. And if you don't know that question, then ask them. Ask people, what kind of things do you want to see? I suspect it's not how to work from home stuff, because, as I say, that's been done to death. But this is the unicorn of content. So here's some ideas. You can break it down into things that are entertainment, inspiration, education, conversational. Except my face is covering that. But again, I will hide myself so you can see that properly. Apologies. And so there's conversation, connection, and promotion. So these are the kinds of things that you can be doing, and some of them are interchangeable. But this is the kind of stuff. Again, I'll email this out afterwards. What you need to be doing though is you need to be doing regular content. It needs to be going out regularly. And the reason for that is obviously there's a lot of noise going on, but people need to see that you're active on social media. So, we're not expecting somebody to sit there tweeting and posting on LinkedIn every 20 seconds, but actually you need there to be some kind of regular communication. I would say that that's planned in as well as part of the day for your recruitment consultants, because the recruitment consultants need to do it from a personal point of view, but you also need to be doing it from a branding point of view. So that's really important that we're doing it from the whole organizational point of view. Think about the times that you should be posting as well. So we're not in the normal situation, we're in a new normal. So actually you need to do your analysis again. If you've got a marketing department, get them to do this. Think about when people are consuming content. Before, it used to be that you could put something out when people were on their way to work and it would get higher hits, lunch times, less so probably going home from work, those types of things. Actually, what we're seeing now is we're beginning to see changes emerge. So people aren't logging on until 8:30 and they're not doing the morning commute. So actually, posting stuff at 9 o'clock is getting a much better response than it used to a month ago, and actually arguably getting a better response to stuff that would have been posted at 8:15. Those types of things. People are winding down at 5:30. Putting something out for the 6:30 commute is no longer relevant for a lot of our clients. So again, you need to think about times. Review your social media. So this is not just your company social media, but how your consultants do social media. So we need to be thinking about training. and we'll touch on that in a bit. But review your social media. Is social media saying what you want your brand to say? Often with social media, what happens is that it becomes organic and it gets a life of its own. And what you think you want your brand to be saying, and the brand message that you think and you're really passionate about, actually might not be being said on social media because you've got consultants going off and doing their other things. So really take time to review your social media profile and reset it. Now is a perfect time to reset it. And then look at the tools you can use to be doing social media. So again, you've got things like, and I can send through a list to people if they're interested. You've got things like Feedly. You've got things like HubSpot, Hootsuite, which is free to download, so people can start posting things down themselves. Look at those tools that help you find news to repurpose. Help find those tools. Things like Snapper, which is a great tool, which doesn't cost a lot of money, for example, helps you create nice graphics that you can put out online. Look at how you can use those online tools to really step up your branding. And then finally, it's really important, so many people come across as being turgid online. You need to get across your personality. People want brands and people with personality. They don't want corporate faceless entities. It doesn't work. So, put some fun things in there. By using common sense how far you can and can't go. And that's really important. I can't stress enough how much personality needs to be put into things. As I said, a lot of people need training on social media. And this is an opportune time to do that with your consultants when they're sat at home. We run a training course for all our clients, consultants, and we've been rolling those out, and we are rolling those out next week for all of them as well. I'm doing online webinars for all of them. And that's around, reviewing their profiles and helping them set up their profiles properly. A lot of your recruitment consultants probably haven't even got their profile set up properly. Giving them advice on what to post and how to post it, giving them the tools that are needed for posting, and then helping them review their profile and working with them to make it better. Because actually what we see is where companies and organizations do this type of stuff, we see an uplift of about 20% in terms of traffic being driven to the website. And when traffic comes to the website from social media, it's normally far more engaged than anywhere else. And we see further actions. So it actually has a tangible return on investment. It's not always as easily trackable as that, but we know it absolutely has. So consultants setting up their own LinkedIn profiles, etc., is really important. What we're finding is that consultants are being a lot more amenable to doing this as well, because they're sat at home, they realize that you're looking after them, and are being a lot more accommodating. So if you need some kind of help, then reach out in terms of setting up profiles and using social media online for your consultants. But it's really important that you do that. And then finally, it's making sure that, and I think I've touched on this before, is that anything you do on social media must have a return on investment. Even though we're trying to keep the lights on and show that we're keeping the lights on, even if you furloughed a lot of people and you want to be showing that you've got keeping the lights on, that's what you can do. Social media allows you to say, look, the lights are still on, we're still trading, we're still here, etc., without actually having to go out and say it. I think a lot of companies that slap up stuff saying, we're still here, hey, hello, look at us, make you question, well, actually, are you still here? Or are you panicking, and are you about to go under, and that's why you're saying please use us? By putting out regular content, by being visible, by taking part in different online things, you're showing that you're visible. But you do need to make sure that it has that link to return on investment. What you're doing either now or in the future, is that going to drive traffic to the website, which then can convert? Is it driving people to your profile because you want them to apply for a job, etc.? Make sure it's got that return on investment and that money attached to it, because otherwise, again, you're just paying to do social media and people to do social media, and it costs a lot of money to do that. So That's kind of the 30-minute wrap up. I'm 2 seconds away from it being done. So that's the whistle stop tour. As I say, there's a lot to cover, but it's really important. And if people want to ask questions, they can do by typing in at the chat on the right hand side. It's really important because your website is a revenue generating tool. A lot of people underestimate how much revenue can be driven by their website. So what I would urge you to do is if you haven't got a marketing department, then and even if you have, reach out to your website suppliers, let them work with you. They are experts in what they do, so they're going to have some great advice and great insights. You pay them often, if they're a SaaS model, you're paying them a monthly fee. They're happy to earn that fee. There's some great recruitment website vendors out there who will do that. And if you haven't got a website vendor, then again, try and reach out to your marketing person if you've got one. Again, I'm more than happy to give some advice for free. It's not a problem, but that's what you need to be doing. And then, as I say, make social media work for you. This is where you can show that the shop isn't shut, but make sure that it's got that hit back to the websites. As I say, my details are here. So my email address, my Twitter, and obviously you know me from LinkedIn. I'll send the link out. I'll pop the link out around the webinar. But so you can so you can watch it again, especially if you've got insomnia, that might work. But if you want anything, please do reach out. We're all in this together, and anything we can do to help you, then we're more than happy to. So thank you very much. And I can't remember the topic of the next one, but I'll email it out. And very best of luck to everybody. Thank you.